hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I'm Tamika. Get on in here, y'all. Get on in here. Kick off your shoes and relax your feet. You are now in the den. So, guys, this is my review recap for Zatima Season 2, Episodes 13 and 14. Baby, let me get my tissues, y'all. Let me get my tissues. Let me get my tissues. I'm missing you. And nobody knows it but me. Sing that, okay? Even though you can't hold a tune. I felt that. I felt that in my spirit, y'all. I felt it in my soul. Baby, we was getting some trauma, okay? We was getting some trauma. We was getting some therapy. We seen the emotional abuse, okay, that Zach had to go through. Oh, Lord, child. This was deep. It was deep. It was heavy, y'all. It was heavy, 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 heavy. Okay, heavy falling out. It was heavy. We was getting down to the bottom of some things, just seeing even more how trash, okay, Zach mama and brother is. Lord of mercy. Hurt people, right? I would hate to hear what her daggone story is. If this is the way that she talks to her damn child, y'all. She was literally sitting here just letting Zach know that she thinks he is the damn scum of the earth. Okay, nobody wants you. Fatima don't want you. Why would she want you? Okay, you trash. Like, your daddy didn't want you. I said, girl, what? The most horrible things that this lady could say, she said them all, from bottom to the top. All right. And Zach is really over here trying to work hard on himself, you know, and basically saying that he is willing to do anything to get Fatima back. Fatima's still out here saying, listen, I'm going to put me first. I'm going to do what makes me happy. I'm going to concentrate on me. I'm going to see where I want to be at. I don't care about Zach begging and pleading and hooping and hollering. All right. It's my time. And I ain't mad at her for it. Okay. In the meantime, Angela's rethinking things, you know, with her and Bryce. And for once, Nathan, for 2 seconds, okay, actually came through as somewhat of a friend and was basically trying to talk Deja out of doing that daggone, you know, lawsuit, telling her that didn't make no sense. And just like we knew, child, okay, didn't we know it? Didn't I call it? Didn't I say it? That Belinda wasn't about nothing and she could not be trusted. And yes, she was the one that was basically behind the whole daggone thing with the act, child. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. Break it on down. Take it from the top. You know how we do, baby. Okay. So, y'all, we basically started right where we left off, okay? We got into the messiness of it all right, with this therapy. Of course, when we first walk in, Fatima's like, why do you have me here? You know, of course, Zach is saying, I knew you wouldn't have came if we didn't get it. You know, if the doctor called, if I would have asked, you wouldn't have came. And she was like, yeah, you're right about that. I wouldn't have, okay? And so he's begging her to stay, and Doc is saying, listen, Fatima, at the end of the day, is your choice. It's up to you. If you want to stay, you can. You know, if you don't, you don't. And so she says, okay, yeah. And he's like, you sure? She says, yeah, she'll stay. So now we get right into it, right? Zach is basically telling them, like, y'all did me dirty, okay? Y'all put me in a position where all the things that I went through, I'm basically taking it out on the one person that I have to confide in, that loves me, that treats me good, that I love. And I'm not going to let y'all and what y'all did to me mess me up to the point that I, you know, potentially lose this person and never be able to be with them again. And mama was going hard, yo. She was telling him, listen, you ain't shit. Your daddy wasn't shit. Like, he didn't want you. He didn't want to be bothered with you. You know, when I went to take you to him, he didn't, you know, want to be bothered. He kicked me down the stairs. He said you wasn't his. He said he didn't want nothing to do with you. And she was like, nobody basically wanted you. You know, oh, I could have got rid of you myself. And I brought you into this world. And I've been telling you time and time again, but I'm going to tell you one last time, that basically I gave birth to you. And after that, you're on your own. And, you know, Doc was asking him, like, well, how long has your mother been saying things like this? When was the first time that she said something like this to you? And he said, 7 years old, y'all. And basically, you know, she over here, oh, you judging me or whatever, to the doctor. Then his brother was saying, like, oh, well, don't forget that I did time for you or whatever, right? And so you owe me, you owe me. And Zach was like, listen, I did time for you too. You haven't. Me actually out here doing robberies from when I was a little kid to when I was about 17 years old, and keep saying, oh, you're not going to get in trouble or whatever the case may be, because they'll just look at you like you aloof. And so he was like, well, did you? You was okay, right? And so Zach was saying to mama, like, that was your daggone pimp that you was going to. And she was like, yeah, it could have been. You know, nobody really knows who your father was any damn way, right? And so basically what it boiled down to was that Zach just wanted to be able to tell them everything that he felt and say, listen, this is it. I keep messing up. I keep thinking I'm not worthy because of all the things that you did to me. I've been holding it for all these years. He was like, I'm done with y'all. You know, they over here wanting the money for coming in and saying how they not going to stay unless he give them the money. And he took money out of his wallet and he was like, I'm going to give you this money. And that's basically going to be the last time. I'm never going to be bothered with you again. You know, I deserve love and I deserve to be able to love somebody. She's over here calling Fatima out her name. And he was like, don't talk to her like that. Don't you ever call her out of her daggone name. You know, she is the real deal. She is the only one that's been here for me or whatever, right? And so, you know, Zach was like letting them know, like, I'll let y'all talk. Now it's my turn to talk. Let me say what I got to say. Then y'all could go with this money. And that's that. And so he let them know that he's been killing himself trying to love both of them and trying to have them love him. And at the end of the day, he's done with it. You know, he was like, that's it. Now I'm putting me first. And he was like, you know, I just been hurting inside all of this time and dying inside, right? And hoping that both of y'all would be clean and that y'all could come through with love. But he was like, at the end of the day, you know, that's just basically not going to happen, right? And he said, I almost lost the best thing and I refuse, you know, to let this take me down any further. So I was very proud of Zach. Like, that's really, really hard for anybody to freaking come through. And you can understand why he is the way he is a little more with hearing just all of these horrible things. And so, you know, he gives them the money and they go ahead and leave. And then it's just him and Fatima there. And he's telling her, like, you know, I don't want to lose you. I made a big mistake or whatever the case may be, right? I'm here trying to do this therapy because this is basically a wake-up call, right? Of how messed up that he is and the fact that it could have him, you know, have him lose her. And so she's like, listen, I'm glad that you're doing this, you know, because he was saying, you know, you don't love me no more. And she's like, I still love you, Zach. Like, I'm always going to love you. She has said to the doctor, I'm in love with him. And he was like, well, tell him that. And so she's like, I love you, Zach. And he was like, don't say but. And she was like, well, look, at the end of the day, you know, this was a big step that you did and you processed this, because even the doctor was saying he went a lot faster with this. This takes people years. And she said she had years of therapy and that it took her a long time before she brought her parents in and was able to say certain things to them. So she's really like happy to see that he finally started doing this and that a lot of things made sense to her after she did her therapy. But she was like, it happened over a time and it happened gradually. You know, you can't expect things to turn around overnight. And so as happy as she is that he made this step, at the end of the day, she needs to know that he's doing it for her, not for, you know what I'm saying, doing it for himself, not for her. And he was like, well, you just said that part of it was because you didn't want to lose me. And he was like, yeah, I don't want to lose you, but I am doing it for me, right? And so he was like, I just can't or whatever. And she said, I can't do this right now. She was like, it's basically too much for her. And she was like, the way you acted in the elevator and, you know, a lot of different times when she was hurt or whatever, now she has a better understanding of where it comes from. But she's like, you were so mean to me and you really hurt me. And so, you know, again, he was asking, like, you don't love me anymore. And she was like, I'm going to, you know, I still love you. But there is a big piece of me that broke off and shut down because of what you did and said, right? And she definitely does get it now. But this is not something that she can handle right now. He have to basically do this for herself. And she just asked Doc, like, can you please explain this to him? And he was like, okay. And she got up to leave. And Zach, of course, was just, you know, begging her not to go. But she left anyway, right? And then when him and the Doc was sitting there by themselves, he was like, look, you know, you got to think about it like a house and how it have a circuit breaker and, the lights go out and you got to get to that circuit breaker to be able to turn it back on. And Zach was just saying, like, I don't want to be alone in the dark. I've been alone in the dark, for a very long time. And he was like, it's still a chance, like, you could get there. Now, we end up seeing, Fatima done drove back to the daggone job. She's sitting in the parking lot crying. And, of course, who comes with the little hanky for her, okay? But Paul himself. And he's like, oh, no, you crying, everything okay? You want to talk about it? She's saying no, she don't want to really talk about it right now. And when he gave her the handkerchief, she's like, is this clean? He was like, yeah, it's brand new. So nonetheless, he was like, I guess tonight's date is off. And she was like, nah, actually, I don't know if you would want to be around me when I'm in this state, right? I'm not going to be the best company. I'm not going to feel like talking. And he was like, well, if you do want to still go, I can do a lot of talking or I could do a lot of listening. So she's like, okay. So he was like, so, can we do 7? Remember, that was initially the time that he wanted. And she initially, had first said 8. So she agrees to the 7 and she still says that she was going to go out with him, which I didn't necessarily think was a good idea. I'm like, if you're in the state that you're in and you just came from, where you came from, I didn't think that going on a date was necessarily a good thing. But at the same time, you also want to kind of take your mind off of things, right? And so then we get to Angela and Bryce with this little tiny damn box of whatever little trinkets he has still left at her house that she's bringing to him. And he's like, oh, you packed everything up? And she's like, yeah, it wasn't much. So she's like, well, that's pretty much that with that. And he was like, yeah, but you said, that you forgave me and that we could still be friends or whatever the case may be. I know we're not going to be together anymore. And she was like, yeah, I don't know about all of that, right? And then, they basically started talking about Zach, and he was saying how he don't really see him that much. He kind of goes and comes and goes, yeah, they be at work together, but it's just basically not the same. And she was like, oh, well, do you blame him? And he was like, yeah, I kind of do, right? He was like, I came out, up front, told him everything, apologized and things of that nature, whatever, right? I told him the truth at the end of the day, and I told him what it was, and I told him that I wouldn't never do it again, and that we all just need to move on. And she was like, do you really think that? She was like, you're in for a rude awakening. And he was like, well, I don't know. At the same time, I do see him trying. And then she's like, okay. So at this point, Fatima walks in and they say, hey, or whatever. And she's pretty much like, well, he was just leaving. So then her and Fatima are there and they're talking, and she lets her know how she's seen, Zach at the therapy with his mom and all of them, and that it was a lot and he was so sad. But then in that same sentence, she's like, yeah, well, I got to get ready for my date. Actually, I'm going to have this date with Paul tonight. And Angela's kind of looking too like, are you sure you want to be going on a date with Paul? You just finished saying how you saw Zach and he was so sad. And she's like, yeah, well, I'm thinking about me. Now, as far as that goes, listen, I'm not mad at it. So she said she was going to go ahead and get dressed. And Angela was like, y'all going to go to that same open mic? And she was like, I don't know. If Belinda's going to be there, then I really wouldn't want to go. And Angela basically was like, well, I could call and check and see if she going to be there. And she was like, oh, that would be great. If, yeah, do that. So then we see Zach coming home, and Zaja and damn Nate is outside the house, and she over here talking about some damn, oh, Zach, you been crying. And he was like, please, I'm not in the mood for this. He was like, keep her on that side. Don't let her cross over this line. He asking Nate why he there. Nate is like, I came to see you. He like, whatever. Y'all just do what y'all doing, right? And he go inside, and Zaja then says to Nate, you seen that his face was wet, right? He clearly was crying. She was like, excuse me, y'all. She was like, I don't know, why he be staying with her. She's so mean. She this, she that, she the other. And of course, Nate was like, at first, pretty much agreeing with her. And then he's like, wait, what was he talking about with, or what were you talking about with the whole suing thing? And did she get the paperwork yet? So she's like, yeah, I'm suing them. You seen what she did to me and how she pulled me out the hot tub. So Nate is like, well, I don't think that's a good idea. He was like, that might come back to bite you. Like, you do know she works at a law firm. And she like, I don't give a damn what the hell that's supposed to mean. He was like, that means that, she literally has, experience with these situations, and at the end of the day she can basically say how we was there. We was in their property on their hot tub. They probably got it daggone recording. They gonna be bringing all different kind of witnesses, talking about how you be going up and down that pole and all of that. And she's saying how something wrong with her back, and he over here turning her and looking her up and down and stuff, like, basically calling her out on her bull crap. So I did like that, even though Nate always gets on my damn nerves. I felt like in this part, at least, he was being a genuine friend. Like, girl, you ain't gonna get no money with that. We know that we both was jacked up. So then he started telling her about, well, let me come inside with you. Let me have a drink. And she was like, yeah, no, okay. She was like, it's given. You done messed up. You ain't with your damn wife no more. You sleeping on Tony's couch. And, you could get to stepping, right? You gotta go. So then he goes and knocks and goes in and was telling Zach, like, I just was checking on you. Zach is pretty much like, I find that hard to believe. You've been hating since the beginning. All of y'all been trying to keep me and Fatima apart. Y'all wanted to see us messed up or whatever. So y'all got what y'all wanted. And then he was like, no, I just been doing things for your good. And he was like, you ain't doing nothing for my good. You only, you don't care about nobody but your damn self. And he was like, I don't want to hang out. I'm not in the mood for nothing. I just really want to be alone. And so, he like, all right, whatever you want. But before I go, I do want you to know that I did speak to Deja, and I had told her, that she shouldn't do that lawsuit thing. And he's like, whatever, you probably the one that told her to do it in the first place. And he was like, hell no, I would never do nothing like that. So he leaves. Now we get back over to Fatima and Angela or whatever, and she comes down with her sexy red dress. Okay, put on your red dress. Yes. So, she's saying how, Angela told her when she checked, yes, Belinda Raggedy behind was going to be there, whatever. And, Fatima was like, there's other places that she could go to. And she was like, yeah, there's other places, but, don't let her run you off. If that's where you want to go to, then just go there. And she's like, well, maybe I'll come through. That way I could kind of keep her busy and offer you or whatever, right? But, the doorbell rings and she's like, girl, just sit there or whatever. Let me, whip that door open or whatever. So that way it could be like a grand entrance. Child, is not Paul though. It's them Zach, and Fatima tries to hurry up and duck down. But child, she wasn't moving fast enough. Zach already done seen her. He like, I see her right there. Angela was trying to say she wasn't there. And then Fatima's just like, whatever, let him in, right? And so Angela says that she'll go outside and check the mail. She was like, you sure? You know who was on his way? And she was like, it's fine. So Zach comes in and he's like, you look nice. Where you going? And she like, I'm going out. And he's basically like, of course, still telling her, like, listen, I don't want to let you go. I still want to try to make this work. I made a mistake. And he's like, I know you think that I slept with Connie, but I didn't. I know you're not going to believe me, but I didn't sleep with her. And she was like, at this point, it don't matter. And he was like, why is that? She was like, because I'm done. Like, and I've already slept with Paul and I'm planning on sleeping with him again tonight after we go out. And he's like, is that so? She's like, yes, it is. Okay. And so I'm like, Fatima, child, this is so damn childish. You lying, he lying. I don't know where we going with this. But again, I get it. She's hurt. So, she was like, I'm going to go ahead and go because Angela came back in and was like, your Rashi is here. And then she going to ask, Zach, do he want a damn, some wine or a cooler or beer, whatever. And, Zach ended up sitting down. Now, I'm thinking she was trying to keep him there and have him have a drink for a minute to give Fatima and Paul a minute to leave. But it was like as soon as Fatima walked out the door, she over here talking about, okay, Zach, you could go ahead or whatever. You could go now. And he's like, dang, you offer me some wine. So she never gave him the damn wine or whatever. But she does sit down and was like, oh, you could just sit down there, I guess. And he's like singing, I love that girl so much. I love her with everything. I don't want to give her up. And she was like, well, Zach, to Fatima, I know you done messed up and she gone. Once she gone, she gone. And he was like, no, I don't accept that. She was saying there's no looking back. And he was like, I'm not going to go for that or whatever. And she was like, well, all I could tell you is what I know. And it's best for you to move on. And he was like, nah, I love her too much for that. It's like breathing for me. So she was like, if you love her so much, why was you messing with other women? And he was like, I didn't mess with that girl. And he was like, I'm not gonna lie, I attempted to, but I couldn't do or whatever, right? And he was like, she never told me, basically talking about Fatima, why she stopped having sex with him. But it was like, they did talk about that. So I don't know what the hell Zach talking about, right? And he was like, he really trying his best. And He's just not going to give up. That's his woman. He not going to get up, let her go like that. He was like, he know he messed up and all of that. And so she was like, look, it's been a long day, and he was like, I know that you don't like me. She was like, where you get that from? You making a whole lot of assumptions. He was like, none of y'all ain't never like me. So she was like, well, first of all, I think you smart. I think you handsome. And I think you and Fatima are a great couple or whatever, right? However, she's been through a lot and some of it came from you. So at the end of the day, I don't want to see her hurt again, And he was like, well, I don't be hurting her on purpose. And she was like, well, that makes it even worse, And so he just was like, I'm not going to give up, right? I'm going to still go after her no more, no matter what or whatever. And this is my woman. Because she was like, I don't know what to tell you. But then it was mad random where she was like, and try to be a little nicer to Bryce. He's a good guy. I'm like, huh? And then Zach was like, we're talking about Fatima. How the hell did Bryce get into this? And she was like, I don't know. You over here talking about second chances. So I figured I would bring him up. He deserves a second chance too. And if you try to be a little nicer to him, so will I. Okay, girl, whatever, right? So Zach is like, okay, fine. So he go ahead to leave and he's just basically like, I'm going to do what I got to do. And she tells him, don't do nothing stupid. Okay, we talking about Zach, so honey, anything could go with that, right? And so, we basically then, get to episode 14, Redemption, and we got Fatima and Paul out on this date. Now, I was a little confused because Angela calls her up, of course, to check on her and to also give her the update, like, Zach just left here, girl. And she was saying that they was here for dinner and that Paul had just, got up to go to the bathroom. So she was like, okay, it's okay. I could talk a little bit more because once she said she was at dinner, Angela was about to let her go. But when she said she was, he was in the bathroom, she like, okay, cool. We could still talk for a couple more minutes. And you see her sipping on this wine and that, he had a beer there on the table or whatever. So I'm assuming they had already ate the dinner. I don't know, y'all. I thought it was that they were still like just literally getting there about to have dinner. And they were saying that they would probably still go to the open mic after. So Angela was like, I'm going to meet her there. So now she asked about Zach, but then said, nah, never mind. Actually, I don't want to know nothing about what he said, right? And she keeps telling Angela that she's okay, even though it's obvious that she's not. And then Paul comes and sits down and she talking about oh, you see it? You feel it? And he's like, what? She was like, all the eyes on you. Every lady in here is looking at you and all of that. And he laughing like, I don't know all about that. So he was saying that basically, a lot of women, once they find out he's a contractor, is like, who's your boss, and a lot of them are looking for a sugar daddy and he's not that, even though we have all these single women that's in Atlanta. And she was like, well, not all of them are the same. And he's like, I hear you. She was like, so is that why you're single? And he was like, it's a lot of different reasons. And basically what you put out is what, you get back and things of that nature. So then they're like, do you still want to go to the open mic or whatever? And it's like, yeah, and they just get up to go there. So, like I said, I was a little thrown off by that because I thought we was just sitting down to have dinner. So now they leaving to go ahead to the open mic, right? Now, they saying how they really like that place or whatever. Now, Angela decides, because she also brings up Bryce to Fatima, said this made me think about Bryce or whatever the case may be, and maybe actually being nicer to him too. And Fatima's like, oh really? And she's like, yeah. So she calls Bryce initially, telling him to meet her at the open mic, but then he's like, oh, I was just getting to my house. It's not far, it's not hard for me to turn back around and come there to your house, because he was like, it's gonna be too loud in the open mic and you're actually gonna be able to hear each other. So he's like, I'm gonna come back to you. And she's like, okay. So he comes there, gets there fast or whatever, and she's basically telling him how she wants him to go ahead and talk to Zach and to kind of show him some grace because he's going through a lot right now with the whole Fatima situation. And also says, well, I did talk to him and tell him to also be nicer to you. And he's like, you did? Why would you do that? And she was like, because I feel like I need to go ahead and be nicer to you as well, give you a chance. No, we're not going to ever go, get back together. That ship has passed or whatever the case may be. But to try to take it slow and at least be able to be cordial and possibly be able to build up a friendship or whatever, because I don't want you to think I hate you. And he was like, yeah, I was kind of thinking that. And she's like, no, I don't, right? Like, it is what it is. I just wish you would have told me. And then he basically apologizes again, like, yeah, I should have been on the up and up with you, right? Apparently one of his ex-girlfriends he was with introduced him into, you know, kind of having little party time, okay, with another couple or whatever, and he just really found that he enjoyed it. He had never experienced it before that. He was like, come on, don't tell me, you know, you didn't never have no threesome before. And she was like, yeah, I did. And he was like, okay, see. And then she was like, yeah, well, actually it was 4, but it wasn't like, you know, men with men or whatever. And he's like, I get it. So they say they're going to go ahead and try to do this thing, you know, at least be cordial, right? And so then she's like, well, I'm going to get ready to get out of here and go to open mic. And he's like, oh, you want me to come with you? And she's like, no, you know, let's take it slow. And it's like, but you invited him to the open mic right before this. Oh, you child, I don't know, whatever. I'll be trying to nitpick about little things, but that was just like, didn't make sense to me. But okay, they had that conversation, right? So now Zach goes and tells Connie he want her to take a ride with him. And she's like, oh, you know, why don't you come upstairs with me, and making her usual little sexual jokes that she want to make, being a damn thirst bucket. And she's like, all right, well, let me go and change real quick. And he's like, all right, go upstairs, change. I'm going to wait for you down here. So the whole time I'm going, I know Zach ain't about to bring Connie to this open mic, right? And just saying it over and over. So now we get here, and, you know, we got Paul and Fatima at the club or whatever the case may be. And we saying how she used to love this singing. She used to love to sing, but she know the music business is crazy. But now she's doing something else that she really enjoys, you know, and she used to actually come and sing all the time. And Paul is like, yeah, because it was great to hear you sing. You know, he says he likes this place too. And especially getting to hear her sing, that was, you know, definitely special. He didn't know she could blow like that. Of course, Belinda got to make her damn way over there and be talking about how you doing. And, you know, this was my girl. Yeah, I messed up. I was grimy. You know, oh, is this Zach's replacement or whatever? And she's like, Belinda, get away from the damn table. So then, you know, Paul is like, how you doing or whatever, and she's telling Paul like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, this was my girl, we was close, I was stupid or whatever, and I messed up. And he was like, yeah, it sounds like you was doing something you shouldn't have been doing. And she was like I said, I was stupid, but I'm trying to get her to understand that I miss our friendship. And he was like, well, I don't think this is the time or the place. So she like, oh, excuse me. So she was like, well, damn, you act just like Fatima or whatever. So nonetheless, he was like, we just here trying to have a good time. And she was like, okay, well, I ain't stopping y'all. She was like, you know, but I could tell y'all ain't gonna have a good time tonight. And he's like, why is that? Sure enough, she like, him. And when she turned around, who y'all think is there but damn Zach, right? And he just sitting there looking like a damn stalker. So then he get up and he walk over. I said, child, Zach is something else, baby. And he come on over here to this table, and he basically is like, you know, Belinda going, hey, Zach, hey, Zach, hey, Zach. And I said, hey, Zach. And it's like, you know, he ain't paying you no damn mind, right? Even Paul was like, I think you should give it a rest. So then Zach pull up a damn chair and sit there. And she was like, you clearly see I'm on a date right now. And he was like, are you really? And she was like, yes. And then Paul talking about, hello, Zach ain't pay him not one mind. Sat down, was looking for Fatima right on up in her face, talking about some, do he make you laugh like I do? She's like, yeah, actually he does. He like, yeah, well, what y'all talk about? Oh, we talk about all different kind of stuff. Philosophy, politics. He was like, boring stuff. You don't care about that stuff. She was like, yeah, to you. Okay. So, you know, does he make you feel like I do? And she was like, well, I can tell you one thing. He got a bit of advantage of you, and he's done his work. And so, you know, he was like, well, I'm doing my work now with his guy. And then Paul talking about, yeah, he is a good guy. So she's like, look, I don't want to be hurt anymore. He was like, I know that. She was like, and we talked about deal breakers. Paul talking about, oh, he talked about that with y'all. I said, yo, this is the freaking most awkward situation ever. Like, Paul, read the room. But nonetheless, she was like, Zach, seriously? And he was like, yeah, I am serious. So he was like, you know, you know you want me to hold you right now. If you like me to hold you, just let me know and all of this, right? And he was like, you custom made for me. You know, he don't fit you like I do, all right? And all this. And Paul is literally on the side like, just making all kind of faces, right? And so Zach talking about something, don't you miss me and all of this stuff. So she was like, look, I don't want to talk about that right now. Like, I'm trying to be here and I'm trying to enjoy myself. So Zach talking about that shit is whack. You don't want that. You want that street. You want that gutter. You want that hood. I say, yo, Zach, I can't, right? And so she talking about, actually, no, I don't. I want somebody that, won't hurt me or whatever. So he was like, you want somebody that's going to lay you down on your back, okay? Lick you from your knees to your thighs. Baby, right? And so he was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead, because I want to wake up with you on my chest or whatever, and I want to play in your hair and all of this. And she telling him to stop. So he basically was like, I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave. Okay, I'm going to leave. And I'm going to leave the door unlocked for you, boo. All right. So when you done with all these shenanigans, I'm going to wait for you or whatever the case may be. And you can come on home. So he got ahead and he walked away. So now Paul, of course, is like, I know that was crazy uncomfortable. If you want to leave now, I understand. She talking about some, no, I ain't bothered by it. I ain't thinking about it. We could still stay and we could still, it ain't nothing to me. She like, you sure? He's like, yeah. Zach get back to the bar and now Tony and Nate is over there. And they basically like, look at her. She's still over there. Nate over here calling her out of her damn name. And Zach was like, see, that's the problem. If you call her out of her damn name again, it's going to be you in the parking lot. Because they were saying how they could wait for Paul in the damn parking lot and be his behind. And Zach was like, nah, we ain't going out there to be nobody behind. But Nate was saying that he ain't going to jail for no bitch. And he was like, see, I'm going to stop you right there. Because if you say that one more time, you going to be the one that I'm going to be beating up in the parking lot. I'm tired of you or whatever, right? And he was like, you don't like her already. And the reason why you don't like her, Tony says, is because she blew up all your whole spot with your damn wife. But that was your own damn fault, right? And so Zach is like, exactly. Now, in the meantime, Belinda bring her daggone raggedy behind over. And Zach was saying like, yeah, what's up with that whole app situation, right? He really was accusing her and Nate. He felt like both of them could have been on it, right? And Nate was like, hell no, I wouldn't never do nothing like that to you. He was like, I didn't have nothing to do with that. And Belinda was saying she didn't have nothing to do with it either. And then Nate was like, I didn't even know anything about it until she showed me at her house. And then he like, wait, he was like, did you do it to make the app? So she's still basically denying it, and they all looking at each other, and they say at the same time, she did that shit. And he was like, yo, seriously, I really didn't know. That didn't even cross my mind. He was like, she showed it to me when I was at her house, and then I came and showed it to Tony that next morning, and that's when we called you. And so then Angela walks up, and Zach is basically like, yo, what you need to be worried about, because, Angela was like, damn, I don't want Fatima to think that I sent you here. He was like, she don't think that. He was like, but what you need to be on is the fact that your trifling ass friend Belinda is the one that made the app. And so first she kept being like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't know why it was so hard to believe. And they like, nah, believe it, she did. And then when Belinda walks over to her, she like, it's a crazy night, so much drama, blah blah blah. Angela like, yeah, okay, but what I want to know is, are you the one that made the app? Like, don't lie to me or whatever. And she like, wow, I don't believe you. I guess she could tell that she was lying about it. And then she went ahead and walked away. And I was like, y'all better not tell Fatima this, boy, because now y'all really gonna be in it. So nonetheless, Fatima and Paul trying to go ahead and continue on with this date, baby. The way Zach and them, Zach, Tony, Nate, and all of them walk back down again. And Zach get on the stage. He make this big speech about, same way Fatima did right before she sung her song. When she talked, he was talking and singing how I had this lady, if y'all don't mind, I want to get up here and tell y'all a little bit of the story. I have this girl that I really was in love with. And he was like, I messed up or whatever the case may be. And there was another girl and I went to see her, whatever. She, he was like, the first girl, she was the best thing that had ever happened to me. And I lost my vibe a little bit and I kept going back to my past and I lost my confidence and all of this, right? So I ran back to this old girl and the crowd started booing him. And then he was like, don't boo, just give me a second. So then here come Connie walking in or whatever, right? And he was like, I didn't do anything with the girl because I love my girl so much or whatever. So Fatima just rolling her eyes. So here go Connie. Yeah, he sure didn't do nothing with this girl. The girl is right here. And Fatima was like, I know you freaking lying, right? And so she was like, and I don't know why. I'm just saying, because when he be doing that thing, he be bringing that thing. Okay, you feel me? And she was like, he don't stop till he get the job done. And the whole time Zach is going, Connie, Connie. She was like, you came over and the kitty cat was ready. She was purring, and then he going, Connie, 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 right? And he was like, oh my God, Connie, would you stop? So she's like, I'm just trying to let it be known because that thing be thinking, okay? So, Belinda's telling him to get off the stage, that the stage is just for singers. And he was like, well, I'm not a singer, but I want to sing this song for you. So then he go ahead and tell them what songs to play. And oh my God, y'all, let me get my tissue again. Let me get my tissue. When I tell y'all that I love Tony Rich, nobody knows it but me. Like, baby, the way I used to play that song on repeat, Zach was pouring his soul out on that stage, baby. Okay, he was off key, but he was pouring it where it needed to be poured, y'all. Okay. And so Fatima there looking all uncomfortable and stuff. She sat there for a minute, honey. When he got to the end of the damn song, she was gone. The chair was empty, y'all. The chair was empty, bitch. Okay. So we see him go home and he looking all sad. Freaking Tony was crying in the audience. Angela even looked like she was emotional. Everybody was clapping, but that chair was empty. So then we gone, like, freaking, the camera roll around to this chair and here go her and Paul back on the couch again. I said, Angela ain't got a guest room where y'all could have went in. I'm just saying, she walking in and y'all right there on the couch, but okay, but it ain't go nowhere anyway. She stopped him again, okay. And the next thing you know, we see Zach laying in the damn bed and we see her come take off her damn dress, baby, and hop on it. We hopping on it, girl. That was the episode, y'all. What did y'all think about this episode, honey? What did y'all rate it? What did y'all think about this whole situation? Did you expect it to play out like that? Did you think we was going to go a little bit longer? Did you think we was going to get right back together? I know it's only 8 episodes and we only got but so much time, but I kind of wanted them to be separate a little bit longer. I wanted them, Zach, sorry, I'm just fumbling over my words. I wanted Zach to get a little bit more therapy and things of that nature, but I know we only got but so much time. But where do y'all see this going forward? What do y'all think about all of this? How do you think Paul is going to be feeling now? Is he going to give up? Is he still going to be coming at her? Put it all in the comments. Let's discuss anything that I left out. Let's discuss it down there. Give me a wave. Let me know you came by. Put some flames up in the sky, y'all. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you are so inclined. Okay, y'all. Till next time.